So we have Kathleen Norton-Schock back on the show again today. She's going to be talking about all things involving Michigan Council of Women in Technology. And gosh, if you don't know what that group is, stand by because Kathleen's going to fill you in, right, Kathleen?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to do that, Mike. I am a 20-year volunteer for MCWT in addition to my normal career, which has had its own stages, as you know, along the way. But we are dedicated to making Michigan the number one state for women and girls in technology, and with a whole concept around inclusion of women in a field that characteristically, for at least for my entire career, has had fewer women than it should. Let me put it to you that way. Depends on the research, but at maximum, we may have 25 to 27% participation of women in the pure technology field, and much less in certain roles like coding, where we're lucky if we have 5 to 7% women, and that isn't getting better. And yet it's a highly paid field, and it is, in fact, the entire technology field, as I'm sure you agree with me, has made major changes in our economy, our culture, all of our businesses. So MCWT has been around over 20 years. I was one of the first people to join with, I always call myself Generation 1.5. And some of my very best friends are people who founded it. And some of my very best friends along the way have been women that I've had the great honor to get to know, because there are a lot of technology women in Michigan, or would-be technology women in Michigan, who have led the way in major corporations, and in small corporations, and in startups, and in entrepreneurship. And all of them agree that to make the field better and to make our world better, we need more girls and women to A, be in the field, and B, be leading in the field. So speaking of leading in the field, today is Monday, October 30th. And if you guys, if anybody out there is in the Lansing area, tonight is our very last ConnectNet event of the year. And it'll be very exciting. It is being chaired by a woman by the name of Terry Takai, a longtime friend and member of MCWT. Terry, among other things, was the CIO for the state of Michigan, which stands for Chief Information Officer, CIO for the state of California, then CIO for the federal government at one point. And now she is, in fact, the senior VP in this next phase of her career of something called the Center for Digital Government, which is dedicated to helping the government on any level, whether it's state, regional, but particularly federal, move into the 22nd century more quickly and more agilely than we have been used to them doing. I'm going to be frank. She wouldn't call it that. She would be more diplomatic. But either way, what the Center for Digital Government does is really wonderful work. But she's just chairing this particular session. And our very honored speaker is the CIO, the current CIO for the state of Michigan, Lauren Clark. And Lauren will be there at Delta Dental headquarters at 4100 Okemos Road in Okemos, Michigan. Which is right outside of Lansing, talking about her career, talking about the challenges she faced, and honestly, hopefully doing what, for instance, I've done with my Diva Tech Talk podcasts, and many of us have tried to do, which is A, set an example for other women. Here's where you can go, and here's what you can do. And B, talk about all the things she's faced along the way, because the more we talk about those things, the easier it is for all of us to overcome them. So that's our last ConnectNet. ConnectNet is one of our 23 programs that we have for girls and women. It happens to be the last one of this year. We've had some really amazing ones, though. And I do want to talk about one that I talked about in the last show, but just to tell you it was excellent, something called Together for Tech, which was a panel program that was aimed at bringing our male allies, and we have quite a few at MCWT, but also having them bring their friends to a panel that talked about how men can help support women in this journey. So the first Together for Tech event, I'm sure it's going to be repeated every year, if not more than once a year, was a crucial platform for enhancing the understanding and collaboration between women techies and men would-be techies and women would-be techies. And some of our amazing speakers were Christine Shuk from CMS Energy, Fei Yang, who is the Director of Enterprise Technology Operations at Ally, Cindy Musser, Heidi Musser, who is currently one of our board members and has been a C-level executive for a long time, and Karen Schnabel, who handles IT service management and infrastructure for Flagstar Bank. So that was recently completed, those two, and those are the last two major programs. But I also just wanted to talk, while we're speaking about the adult programs, we have many programs. And anybody who would like to go and look at our programs can go to www.mcwt.org. And there will be 5 links right across the screen, K through 12, our media room, etc. But touch programs, and you will see that those then divide also. But we have many programs now, and this has been one of the issues as we've been concentrating on girls in K through 12 and the many programs for them. We also, over the last several years, as Chris Rzuski was leading the organization, we grew the number of programs for women who were just entering their career, women middle of the week, the middle of the pack in terms of their career, in terms of their age, and women who were more senior. So one that was really exciting and very, very successful for us was the Elevate program, which was a 5-week experience that we just recently concluded. It was a uniquely combined peer group exchange, and many senior leaders came to speak to the women in the group. And over 40 women gathered just a couple of weeks ago to share the experience, to talk about what they learned, and to make it even better for next year. So that was pretty exciting. I always leave at the girls program, so I wanted to give you a little bit on the adult programs. And speaking of adult programs and adult beverages, the IT Prom, which is the biggest of our fundraising events, is taking place on November 11th. This year, it's called the Luminescence Gala. We have quite a few sponsors. In fact, just for your information, Mike, and your audiences, we've gone from when I first joined, we had 10 sponsors 20 years ago. We have 143 sponsors now, and they tend to be corporations of all sizes, including the big three. Meaning the big three automotives, because we're here in Michigan, and everybody who serves them, but a lot of technology companies, big ones like IBM, ServiceNow, Oracle, and then going down to much smaller companies that are growing rapidly, right, who are supporting our cause, right, which is to make Michigan the #1 state for women in tech. And also that helps them. So the Luminescence Gala, which I always call the IT Prom, is in its 15th year. This is our 15th annual one. It will take place on November 11th from 5 to 11:30 p.m. It is dress up, as you can tell from the name, and it'll be sparkly, as you can tell from the name. And the venue is MGM Grand. And tickets are still available, but they're going very, very fast. Most of our sponsorships have pretty much been sold, but there still probably are places where if people want to come in and do a sponsorship, they can jump in and either buy individual tickets or a table. And I really strongly encourage people to go to www.mcwt.org if they want to be at the premier networking event that is the most fun, that happens to support the technology industry here in Michigan. November 11th, Luminescence Gala. So some other things that I wanted to talk about. We have, as I said, we've gone from a small number of programs over the years to we're at a full 23 programs now, divided among all of our stakeholders, with quite a few being for our girls, of course. And so the next several that still have deadlines that need to be met. In other words, if people want to participate, they should be coming to our website right now. On 11/18, we're having with Wayne County Community College for 2nd through 8th grade girls, Coding for Good, which is being sponsored by Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's a half-day event. Go to our website at www.mcwt.org. go under K through 12 and you can find the program and sign up your 2nd through 8th grader to participate. It is a Saturday. Also, as you know, at this point, $3 million in scholarships that we've given away to undergraduate women and postgraduate women, and some special grants for things like hardware and software and education. But we opened this college scholarship program just a couple of weeks ago, and that can be applied for. And the only requirements are that you have a 2.5 GPA and above, that you live in the state of Michigan or attend a university in the state of Michigan, and you can apply for our scholarships. It usually ends either at the end of December or the end of January. It depends on how many applications we get. Last year we had to close early because we had so many applications. So I would strongly suggest that if anybody's interested in it, that again, they go to www.mcwt.org, touch the college scholarship program button, and all the information is there. Also, for girls in grades 5th through 12th, we give out a series of robotics grants every year, as many other organizations do as well. We usually give at least 10, sometimes more, depending upon the grant situation. Our application period, if you are on a robotics team and you want a little extra money to fund what you're doing, we give $750 grants, and that opened on October 20th, and the deadline date is March 8th, because those robotics grants, depending upon where you're doing your work, will kind of shuffle through that period.
And let me also mention, Kathleen, sorry for being tardy, that applies to First Robotics and the Lawrence Tech RoboFest program and VEX as well, right? It applies to all the robotics programs.
Exactly. Any robotics grant. I mean, again, touch the link and you'll be able to see. It's very, very easy to apply. So we talked a little bit when we started about the adult programs, and just to sum them up, for the adults, we do Connect Nets. One of our strategies over the last 4 or 5 years that we've been actively pursuing is to grow, because we're so strong in Southeast Michigan, to the west. So we do Connect Nets in Lansing. We do Connect Nets in Grand Rapids. Those are in person, right? We often do our Connect Nets, and certainly during COVID we did them via Zoom. We do Lunch and Learns, which are online. We do something called Together for Tech, which I told you about, is the Male Allies program that will in fact be repeating. We do Ignite Mentoring, which is a 6-month mentoring program where we will help match women who are at certain points in their career with women or men, but mentors who would be more senior, and it's designed to enable women embarking on tech careers to use mentoring to understand the other hurdles they may need to leap over, talk to their mentor about various programs. I think, last week was National Mentoring Day. And so we've been doing mentoring since the beginning of MCWT. And this one has gotten very robust. We do Connect Nets in person in Farmington Hills. And then Reignite is another program that was started by some of our friends at Yangfang, where in fact, it was inspired by them, and we sort of have taken it over and stretched it to all of our sponsors. But for women who want to return to the workforce, we have Reignite, which is a program that is specifically designed for those who want to come back in a technology career. And we do a number of things, give them sources for resources. We match them with mentors. We do a bunch of other things, as you know. Then we talked about Coding for Good already. I was kind of racing through some of this, not knowing how long I had, which is probably about 1 more minute. We talked about the robotics grants. Thank you, Matthew. And I think that's it, except I think everybody should be joining us on November 11th in our sparkly venue for the Luminescence Gala. But if you want to go, better go to our website today to apply for tickets, or if you want to sponsor.